So we just want to say welcome to Together We Rise, Building Our Nation. And tonight we have with us one of those men out there who love cricket. Cricket is a passion, it's a lifestyle for them. So with us tonight we have no other than Mr. Delroy Bent, who is definitely going to give us a full update of the tournament in Tampa, a youth cricket competition that he is responsible for, as part of the board of directors coordinator in terms of putting on this youth cricket. We just want to welcome Mr. Delroy Bent to the platform.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to share information on this tournament. This is the second annual Tampa Bay Premier Cricket League tournament. It happened last year. It was won by Taki High School, and it was well supported. This year, we have two schools from Jamaica, Excelsior and May Day High. Excelsior is your Sunlight Cup champions and May Day Headley Cup finalists. So you have two good schools who play very hard cricket and have a lot of talented players. The competition will run over the Thanksgiving weekend in the Tampa Bay area, Hillsborough County and Pasco County. Although the counties have been through some rough times with storms, the condition of the fields are in good condition because the county is allowing usage as we speak. We'll kick off the tournament with Excelsior versus May Day at Hamilton Park, and this should be a good encounter. It's Thanksgiving weekend, so we expect to have a good crowd on hand to support the teams and play a good game of cricket, have a good game of cricket. So again, thank you for inviting me to your program. I appreciate it. I think your program is another program that's promoting cricket in the US, which is needed. Again, thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Delroy. So we're gonna get to some of the big questions. We know that to promote a tournament, a competition, to put on an event, it's something that is very challenging. It takes a lot of work, to really get it going. So what I want to know is what prompted you to start such a competition, especially here in the USA?
Okay, so when the youngster finish high school and they play cricket, if they don't get into the Jamaica team, that's the end of their cricket career. My concept was looking on, say, pen relays, for example, where the athletes can go on to university. Same concept for cricket. I figured cricket is growing in the US. And once we give these youngsters the opportunity to play in the US, it can change life. The whole concept is about changing a youngster life. So the idea come from there. We have some struggles when it starts, but it's smoothing out. Next year, we expect more schools. And what I would love for is the diaspora, the past students in the diaspora to help the teams, help the school, because it's very expensive. There's no sponsorship at present. So the only sponsor you might have right now is the schools and the parent wanting to give their child a chance. Okay? So that is basically the motive behind it, for continuance when a youngster finish Headley Cup or Sunlight Cup. Sometimes the Jamaica team is very difficult. Not that the youngster don't have the talent, but there's a lot to choose from, and sometimes they slip through the crack. So this is an opportunity for the school leavers when they finish playing cricket to move on. And my personal take is that US cricket is going to grow. As you see in the World Cup past, they did well. They finished above traditional countries. So that is a sign that once the structure will work in the US, the cricket will grow.
Well, I love your idea there, Mr. Bent. And really and truly, I was one of those schoolboy who played cricket in Jamaica. I did not make it in terms of making the national team, whether it be the under 14 up to the youth team, but not did not say that I was not talented enough that I could have gotten a chance, if I had persist with my cricketing career. But really and truly, after I left St. Elizabeth Technical High School, it's like your cricketing career are it start going downhill if you don't find yourself in such a program as like the youth tournament. Yes, you may play cricket in terms of local competition, but as you know, it is not the same as if you're playing in a structured system like the youth tournament. You're playing for your school, like right now, May Day, that we have that will be in the tournament. Woolman's, it's more structured with a coach and everything. But once you go back to your community, I know it's like more of a corrigo type of cricket, not as structured. So what you're doing in terms of getting these youth when they leave school to come here in the US, it's really a good thing. And I must say, I am very proud of you in terms of what you're doing. And I
Thank
just
you
gotta
very much.
ask you, yeah. And in terms of, I know what you're saying, but what's your hope? What it is that you hope to achieve when you bring these youngsters here? Yes, they get involved in the game and everything. So what is your hope of achieving here now on US soil?
Okay, so first and foremost, I'd like to get these youngsters into universities because what I stress to the teams and the players is that academics is key. So my hope is that they get into universities with the required subjects and hopefully move on to represent the US or wherever they want to take their career. US has US has Major League Cricket, which is going to grow. So I think that's an avenue that these youngsters, once they can get into the university and beyond, they it will change your life. Once a youngster go on to a plane and fly across the world, they see a different world. They'll go back to school thinking different. But the main objective is for them to continue into university and hopefully get into major league, get into the US team if possible.
I love that. I really got it from your opening remarks, but I really wanted to go deeper. And that is where now you also balancing the cricket with education, getting them into university, which is also a key component of a child or a young man development. It's not just about the cricket, but what you're doing is try also to get them into university, as you mentioned earlier about athletes. There's a gateway for athletes. But when it comes to cricket, we realize that it is very challenging, even for a school to just pick you up to play cricket. They may not even find 11 players in there, so it's not worth it. But with you bringing, these youths and exposing them, because you just mentioned US cricket, it is growing. We see the World Cup, as you said, we see what happened. US actually did pretty well. And I can tell you, being here on US soil, having players from the Caribbean have really helped to improve the cricket. And from the other powerful cricketing nation, we have the Indians, the Pakistan, and a sprinkle of Australian and so forth that comes through the system. But really and truly, its majority is Caribbean players, Indians, and Pakistan players that are here. So I really love what you're doing there. So just give us a quick overview of the location. So again, let people know where this is gonna be, where it's happening, it's gonna go down, and a little bit more about Barbie, few of the players from these high school that you're taking in.
Okay, so the competition is going to be played in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay include of St. Petersburg, Hillsborough County, and you have Pasco County. In terms of logistics, the fields are very close. So you have Hamilton Park, which is in Town and Country, Rodney Colson Park, which is in Sefna, and then Wesley Chapel is your Forest Field. But the good thing about Wesley Chapel, it has lights, and that is another experience for these youngsters to play on the lights. So all the teams will get a chance to play on the lights, which I think is an experience that will help, especially if they move on to play international cricket on the lights. So it's a total experience. Tampa Bay, Hillsborough County, Pasco County, very supportive to cricket. You know, if you look in Broad County where they have a standard field that can host 50 over or 20 over, the counties are trying to get to that point. And they're very supportive. And I must say thanks to the counties for their support for the cricket, because without them, it would not work.
Well, I also want to give shout out to the sponsors and everyone that is behind, you know, pushing through this competition. As you said, last year was a success. So this year, what do you expect in terms of the turnout and the quality of the players that is coming in?
Well, if you look at it, Excelsior is the Kingston champions, and May Day is a finalist in Headley Cup. 2 times. This is the second time May Day has been into the final with States and now with Manchester High. So the quality, we have players playing for Jamaica, like Ryan Edwards, Nashane Mead. On Excelsior, you have maybe 3 or 4 boys that play for Jamaica. So in terms of quality on the Jamaica teams, that is high. The university team, there's the University of South Florida, has a very strong team, very Indian based, because there is an intercollegiate competition that played. So the players from that team are from a variety of the universities. You have a team called Assassin and Academy, which has a lot of young cricketers, and there are some good talent there. Spartans is a mixture of Indians and Pakistanis players with good standard. Coming out of Pakistan and India, they have good quality, right? So those are the 5 teams we have: Spartan, Assassin, University of South Florida, May Day, and Excelsior.
Nice, nice. So I want to also touch on this, and I really love the mix that you're taking in, because we know that women cricket is growing. As a matter of fact, it's just as excited as the men version. The ladies, you see them out there, they're doing everything a man can do on the field. They're diving, they're basically very athletic on field of play. And I realize that you have May Day coming in with a player that would have represent Jamaica, and here this lady is also a part of the May Day team. Tell us about her talent and what you expect in terms of bringing in also female into the competition.
Okay, so for the first time in the history of Manchester, Central Jamaica, I think, May Day has the first woman cricketer that plays for Jamaica. She plays under 19 last year, Tiandra Morgan. And she is going to play along with the boys in this tournament because she is good enough, and I think she will do well at that level. Plus, it's more exposure for her and playing some tough cricket. So she will be playing as part of the May Day setup.
Nice, nice. I'm gonna just put this name across here. And the reason why I wanna throw this name out there, Mr. Lenroy White, one of our local cricketer here in the US. He hails from the parish of Portland. And what he does is that every year he has a competition back in his hometown where he actually feature local players and invitees to his hometown. We have a competition where they have come together and bring cricket back to the community and also gifting those young talents. And that's where I actually went and saw the first game with the boys mixed in with the girl. I gotta give a shout out to Mr. Carl Brissett over there in Portland, a part of the Jamaica female team in terms of the under 19 team. And that was something that really caught my attention when I saw the quality or the talent that we have down there in terms of these young ladies and what they're doing. So we just want to give a shout out to Lenroy, who is giving you a big shout out there to Mr. Delroy. So obviously is somebody who know you quite well. So respect. So Sir Delroy.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now I see, you have these youngsters, youth players like Chadwick, you have Michael Clark. So, and each going up against, the other in the opening match with May Day Woolmers. Tell us
May
how,
Day Excelsior.
yeah, May Day Excelsior. Tell us how these players, how they feel about having this opportunity to actually come and play on US soil, coming out of Jamaica. Tell us the feeling there.
I think the youngsters are excited, especially Excelsior was here last year. And I think they see it as a good opportunity for them to play in the US and highlight their talents. And hopefully, like my objective is for them to move on to university, into Major League Cricket, and make something of their lives.
Nice, nice. Um, quick one. With these youngsters, you're basically trying to get something out there, but in terms of their interest, are they interested in coming into the US for university versus staying in Jamaica, the Caribbean? How is that feeling? Is there like a high spirit in terms of getting into university here?
Okay. My personal observation is that to get into a Jamaica team, even when you have the talent, is very difficult. And I think it's a Caribbean issue, not just Jamaica. When you have a coach who coaches a high school and he is your chief selector, just imagine, right? So he's
I
going to make
get you.
sure his boys are okay. The national coach coaches a school also. So it cannot be fair, right? Because I've seen youngsters who I think should have been in Jamaica teams and they're not. I have raised these points with JCA rep, and I think their belief is that it's been happening all along. So nothing is wrong with it. I think back when Steph had Dr. Bennett, that is when that was changed, where you have boys from country now moving on to make Jamaica team, and it was not a problem. But the politics of the thing is a problem. If you check right now, Jamaica don't have a cricketer in the test team. And I hear a shadow squad has been named and there's no Jamaican in it. Reason? The players are forced, and when they come under pressure, they fail, right? Because they get their game very easy So doesn't matter. And I think this
So
is a policy that JCA needs to change. I'm hoping Robert Haynes, who take over that position, can make some changes. Because the long and short is that JCA is just tadpoles. People sitting there and going in cycle every year, no ideas. The board has no money. Now I see where Doc want to adopt SDC policies of how they promote the game. What is the JCA policy? Yeah, and that is just my personal views.
So basically, you're saying what everybody been saying, and it's not just in Jamaica that there's bias that exists in the cricket, and therefore this bias have affected the quality of the game. It affect also the mindset of the youngsters, given the fact that you know for a fact that you'll probably be better than another player, but on the day of selection, your name is not called. They may invite you to trial, some of them, but they are, from what I've seen, is like the team is already pre-selected, and a lot of
Correct.
people would join us in making that statement. That
Okay. Listen to this scenario. Javid Williams is the highest runs in schoolboy cricket history. 347. Right? It's history. Now, he batted at trials and made runs twice. The selector is telling me he failed once. So he was never a part of the setup. That is foolishness. Right?
And
how can you have a youngster that has the record for the highest score in the country and you don't give him a chance? He's probably one of the better wicketkeeper batsmen since Jeffrey Dujan. It's a joke.
Well, you see exactly what's happening. So, and I could go back to my days in cricket. I used to play with like Ricardo Powell, Carl Wright, and those guys. So in the era of like the Chris Gales and Marlon Samuels, so forth. Marlon was a little younger, but I would be playing in that era. And I even remember Ricardo Powell going to trials the first year. He was looking quite good. You thought he would have been in the chosen 11 or at least on the reserve. He didn't make that team. And it's the following year. And it's not that he didn't score runs in the trial. He still scored runs and was one of the better schoolboy at the time, but he didn't make that team. And now, you're basically referring to another youngster. Plus, this youngster is not just a batsman. You're comparing him to Jeffrey Dujan. That simply means that is an exceptional talent. So that is somebody that you would have expected to be in the team.
Oh yeah. And I mean, the chief selector is a friend, is my school days friend, right? Very close. And right now, I can tell you how I feel, But if you don't want to drink a beer with me, that's fine. But I think Javid Williams should be in the Jamaica setup, the under-19 tournament, without a doubt. And I still maintain that. Right? But you see again, it's the hypocrisy and the politics. You have coaches who have players, that they put with agent already. So they're not going to drop those players for nothing. And that is a problem, and I don't know. You see, the thing about it is that the Jamaica cricket structure is breaking down in everywhere. There's no democracy. There's no, I know association that have not had AGM for the last 26 years. But you have representatives going to JCA to vote. Who are you voting for? You have no tournament in your parish. You have nothing. So when you see sponsors don't want to give money to a board, it's accountability, right? JC, it's just you cannot be an open-minded person because once you're part of them, you can't speak against them. So they're still doing the stupidness and think it's okay right through. Right?
And
May Day, without a doubt, has one of the best youth coach in Jamaica. He has won with Elton. He has coaches Stephanie, the past West Indies captain, Rachel Williams. Without a doubt, he's one of the best coach. But why he's not a part of the setup? He's not a yes man. They'll want to give you a team, and he's saying, no, you can't give me a team. I have to select a team. And they don't like that, And Doc will have to go along because they need that 2 vote. When election comes, the same undemocratic bodies that they have go with the 2 vote and vote. So it will not change, and that is what affecting the cricket.
so Deloy, I'm gonna take it back here because I really, really, when it comes to youth cricket, I think this is a stage where we have to nurture these youngsters. And we see where the world is going. It's the fast world that we're living in. People getting in the fast lane. And for example, a young man, as you just mentioned, with such a talent, but then he goes to trial, he did his best, he put his best effort, and he got runs. But at the end of the day, he's not selected. What do you think happened to the mindset of such a player?
Psychologically, I think he's ripped. I'm trying to see how well I can cover him. Right? And I have similar situation with a player from May Day who went 2023 tournament in Trinidad. The player get the highest amount of wicket in that tournament. The player got injured while on tour and informed the coach that he's injured, but the coach continued to play.
Wow.
Right? The player returned to Jamaica, and it takes the board 1 month when they're ready to prepare for another tournament. They sent to the school inviting the player, and I'm saying to them, look, the player is injured. At that point, they decided to take the player to university, and their theory was that they have a specialist at UWI that deal with that. This is a month after the player returned, right? Now the player go to school in Mandeville, and time is modern time. Specialist is everywhere. So they expect the player to commute to Kingston from Mandeville for medical checkups and whatever. Right? So those are some kind of things that happens, and it's just pushed aside because of the politics and the friendship in the cricket. The player was told by the coach, because he had reported this, he's not going to play. And he did not. Right? Presently, I have that player in the US, hoping to get him some medical assistance. And the entire JCA has been contacted, communicated with. Nothing happened.
That is so sad. And these are some of the things that is affecting our cricket. So imagine a young man get hurt. We know cricket, you love the game so much that you don't want to miss a single game. And if a player tell you that he's hurt, representing the national team in the under 19, and he can come forth and say, I'm hurt, that simply means this player is really hurt. And to tell me that it takes another month or so, if there wasn't another competition and you're looking for this player, there's no follow-up. That is total slackness, if you ask me. And if I was this young man, parents, there's no way you're gonna go back to play for them. I wouldn't even waste my energy with you. I'll definitely try to get you in a program. I'm happy that you have this kind of gateway for those players that they can come right here and also get into a program. So, thumbs up to you on that.
I told them bluntly, any player that has any association with me will not be playing for JCA until they address those matters. How many other players have gone through this? But they have to keep quiet because they're afraid they get dropped like my player. A joke.
I really don't, these people who are in control, don't they realize that they're hurting the cricket, and not just Jamaica cricket, but now we're going to take it a little further, West Indies cricket. So interlink both of them. Tell us what you think about Jamaica cricket and know what's happening in the West Indies. Or the feeder program, you have to take it to Trinidad and all those other Caribbean countries, the feeder program for the West Indies. What's going on, and how do you view the future of the West Indies?
I think it's dim. The West Indies cricket is like a stock that is falling, right? And unless you have some aggressive changes to it, I think PJ Patterson had a document that he had written and given to the cricket board, and I don't think they take two sections from it because of the hypocrisy and the continued biasness that's happening in the cricket, right? It will not move. Jamaica cricket is going nowhere. I can tell you that. You don't have a grassroots program, right? If it wasn't for the schools who's supplying these cricketers, there'll be no cricket in Jamaica. There's no club cricket. Barring St. Mary, that's probably the only association that has a tournament. And you can check that for yourself.
All right. We're going to push it back now. Sabina Park. This was the cricketing ground. What's happening over there?
Football and dance and everything, the party.
It's a joke, right?
No, man, serious thing. The Indian government just gave a scoreboard from all the years we had cricket at Sabina Park. Sabina Park is one of the, in terms of tradition, right? And it's a shame. The lighting wasn't even the best standard the other day, so I don't know if they fixed that out. And it's not only Sabina Park, the stadium is the same thing. Yeah. So that to say that there's nothing moving forward. Everything is stagnant. Because
that's sad for
Jamaica with the money, right? They're not going to give their money to a disorganized structure, a disorganized association, where there's no accountability, right?
First thing,
I don't know.
You said, yeah, to attract sponsors, you have to first show that you can manage their money. And obviously, we're nowhere near there. But for me, I am hoping that with new management and Dr. Bennett I'm hoping that he can put together a structure. But from what you're saying already, it seems like it's gonna be a struggle. But I'm just
When you say
hoping because of
new
Jamaica.
management, when you say new management, there's nothing new there. Remember Doc
Well,
was there with Heavens, you know. It's a
well,
recycle.
some, I guess
It's just a
over the
recycle.
years then. I guess over the years, he adapt some principle even from outside of Jamaica to at least kind of get our cricket back to where it was. I remember when in the days, my father, when cricket had go on, we're countrymen, so there's no way we're gonna make it into town. Plus, we coward. But my
That's
father
true.
going to the farm, he has his radio. And not that he has his radio with battery, but there's extended battery put in a paper like and roll up and wrap up extra energy. Because he can't miss a ball. You know? And those were the days of cricket, we're playing cricket in the road and so forth. Now, if we don't have a structure, I don't see how we're gonna attract young players. Are we gonna keep the few that we have? And it is sad.
Very sad. I used to have sleepless nights, staying up with my grandfather, listening West Indies play. It was an inspiration, especially in England for the migrants, right? For the Caribbean, it's a heart. They love cricket. And right now, I can't tell you the last time I watched a West Indies game because the team is very inconsistent. When you look at that, you have Darren Sammy as coach. There's no president who thinks Darren Sammy is a good coach that can bring West Indies cricket anywhere. Right?
Listening,
The
listening.
only person that wins 3 trophies is the Jamaican. Right? And that is who them don't like. I don't know why. Maybe his leadership policies. Right? You have the Pollard and the Bravo, them go India. And it costs the West Indies 40 million. And them still think Cameron should accept them. So they carry the belly from there. And hopefully, they get rid of him. When you look at AGM, when Jamaica doesn't vote for their own president, right? You think about that.
It's ugly. So, really and truly, tell us, your gut feeling on the future of the West Indies. We really want to hear, your thoughts on this West Indies team, where we're going.
If changes is not made in terms of grassroots, getting back the cricket to where it starts. I tell you this, I've gone to the US under 11 tournaments. And it's 30 overs, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time, the teams are not bowled out because everybody's playing straight and they're learning the game. So I think they can get ahead of West Indies easy. And we still have hypocrisy with the Indians here in the US because if you look at the teams, you think you're looking at an India team. So we need some black man, we need some white man. If you look at Lawless with soccer, that is what drives the US soccer. Because they see somebody who look like them playing. Again, it's work. It's work. But West Indies cricket, I don't see a future. I would never buy the stock.
And for a man like you who know the stock market so when we come on to cricket, and if you're not putting anything there, well, we in trouble, real trouble.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we'll bring it home to it now. All right. Back in the days, we could look at talent and we could identify a talent that this player is gonna be one to look out for. Remember the Brian Lara, the Shonda Paul, them. From a tender age, you see them, you see the quality of the Marlons, and I'm talking the latter part, the Chris Gale them. You saw that talent and you're saying that, guess what? One day this guy is gonna represent the West Indies, but not just represent the West Indies, but gonna stand out and in terms of market us in terms of our cricket. We can take it from man like Lara. From the moment I think he held that bat, they knew he was gonna be that type of a cricketer. For you, tell us if a few names or any player that you have seen out there. I'm talking young schoolboy, because you are now doing a youth tournament. Tell us if there's any standout name that you see that West Indies is basically looking to harness this player and they're gonna do well. I think we probably Mr. Deloy, did you hear that question? Yeah, did you hear that question?
No, repeat. Please repeat.
I was saying, based on your knowledge of what you have seen, local cricket, we remember back in the days, you could see a youngster and you knew from the beginning that this youngster is going to represent the West Indies and is going to market us well. And I call name like Shanda Paul, Brian Lara, Chris Gale, Marlon Samuels. You actually saw it in them that, guess what? This is going to be one for the future. Tell us if there, and the fact that you're putting on a youth tournament, just give us a quick view of any name that stand out that you say, well, this player look like is one that's going to be here for a while and represent the West Indies.
Well, Edwards, Ryan Edwards, a left-arm pace. He went with West Indies to the World Cup. Under 19. I think he has potential. There's Dwyer at Excelsior. That's doing well. And Clark, good player if they get the proper nurture and the chances. I think they'll move on to be good cricketers.
Well,
in that category of young cricketers.
All right. West Indies current team. What do you think about the players now?
I want to be very honest with you. The players are very inconsistent. Right? And when you're inconsistent, you can't trust. They don't bat long enough. The shot selection is way off. Right? You look at Puran and you'll say he's whatever great with the bat. But come crunch time, they're not getting the necessary runs. Right? So, you just can't trust it. You cannot trust the team. And that again, players are getting to the highest level without working hard enough or deserving the place. Right? You look at the guy, I think the highest scored made in the World Cup was the US player from Barbados. You want to think that that's a player that slipped under the crack. Right?
You're right.
Probably the highest score in the World Cup. So there's many more players like that.
So that's Eian Jones you're talking about, a very talented cricketer.
Yes,
I've gotten to watch him in many games, especially when he comes
to
Florida.
So that is a typical example of quality players falling through the crack because of hypocrisy and selfishness.
So if you could look at his schoolboy partner that plays for England, pace bowler, that's another one.
Yeah. Yeah, the pace we just find the other day, who was a security guard. It's another typical example. Why the man have gone to security work? Because you ignore him. But I tell them on them all the while, but them say I'm racist. When the white people handle the team, you get better results. Because them don't care which island you come from. They want the best player with the best quality. So I think there's where West Indies need to go. to get a coach that I don't even think them have one now. Right? Get a coach with good programs and start to work at grassroots.
All right, Sir Deloy. Now we're gonna go back to your youth program, and I think probably you're gonna be one of those men that will help to change the system. Because definitely, I think you'll have a lot of youngsters to work with. Because as you mentioned, the drawbacks and the setbacks that youngsters have, that have the potential, have the skill, but being overlooked because of the bias, the politics, and all. And with what you have there, this youth program, that you have going on here in Tampa, do you plan on extending, say probably coming into Fort Lauderdale where a lot of cricket is played 365 days of the year? I think you can play cricket right here in Florida. But Fort Lauderdale seems to be a place like it's a place for cricket. A lot of Caribbean players are here and we're able to play the cricket right through. Is there any intention of bringing even a tournament on this side?
Oh, yes. The initiative was first to shift it between Orlando, Tampa, and Fort Lauderdale. As it has to do with a nursery back in Jamaica, what I am going to do in Jamaica, especially in Manchester, I'm starting a program in Manchester, a pilot program, where I'll run under 11 tournaments, right? So you need a nursery. If you don't have no young chicken, then you're going to starve. Because you have nothing to eat. So that is one of my plans. So you filter them from there into high school, then they move on. I will never be part of the JCA because I can speak my mind. So once you're a part of them, that's it. And maybe you have people there with great ideas, but I don't know. I don't see any plan coming from there.
All right. Thanks. I love your idea. And with that, I just want to go a bit further in terms of the fact that we're dealing with youngsters. Tell us some of the drawbacks that we have, in terms of the challenges or the hindrance to getting a cricketer to come out and play cricket. Because in my days, we were playing cricket in the road, along the street side. Any little field, we find cricketer play. But these days, when I go back home, I don't see anybody with a bat or a ball in the street. Tell us some of the challenges that you face now with these youths or the youngsters.
It's very difficult because one, cricket is expensive, and no sponsorship. So you have to find ways to get them interested. Look for May Day, my system there. Okay, imagine a boy just come to school for his first year, and he's gonna go on a plane to go to the US to play cricket. So that kind of focus drive the youngsters who want to go to May Day. If the other school adapt those kind of systems, then you'll have some interest. Everybody want to go to America, right? So that is a way I see you can do it. Because the basketball, football, it's easier and it generates more interest. Other than the traditional.
What about technology and the gadgets?
Well, that's true. Yeah, you can, use those, yeah.
I think that's a big challenge. I've seen it in my household. I have a very talented nephew, and I tell him that he has much more potential because after he gets home from training, Instead, the weekend some days he's just there and I say, Dimmy, you know that you can call a friend and go throw 2 balls, and then down the road you may not have a nets. But just know that to get into the Jamaica youth team, you're not the only one that have eyes set on it. And you really have to show that you need it that bad. That the little extra time you get, you put some work in. You get what I'm saying? So I have to be encouraging him because it's much easier to be playing a game or watching TikTok and all of these little things. So it's really gonna take a lot of effort and it needs more than me and you to change the system and to harness these talent. If we're gonna get cricket back
Yep.
to where it gotta be. Because it's gonna
It
take
has to
far
be a
more
different.
motivation now.
You have to take a different direction. You have to take a modernized direction. The old-fashioned way we just love it, forget it.
All right, another thing, incentives. What's the incentive that's there in the island
Well,
for the young
there's
cricketers?
awards. We have man of the match awards, and we're hoping for prize money for the winner and runner. We're still negotiating the amount, but there'll be incentive for the players. We're hoping that the Caribbean community will give the Jamaica teams a good Thanksgiving weekend. There's some bodies there that planning on providing meals for them to experience the Thanksgiving, the U.S. tradition. So I want to thank Miss Valda Shakespeare and the Caribbean Association, Miss Evie Lawman, who is working to make sure the youngsters are happy and feel at home. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Deloy, I want to say you're doing some good work. I want to go back to not this year. I think it was last year. States and May Day final at States. I don't. I'm thinking it was last year. But one of your youngsters there made 100, and of all my years at States, you don't find no the name, the big bat. And JB will tell us going back all the way back from Jimmy Adams and the whole of them coming across. The big name not gonna make 100, and you can almost guarantee it. But I watched this youngster, and he batted. That was real talent, and he made 100.
That is Edwards.
I had to stand.
That's the same. Yeah, the same player I was mentioning. That is Edwards.
Okay, I had to stand and give him, man, hats off, hand claps, because I watched that part of it, and I'm like, yo, this youth is a talented youth. This youth.
There was a lot of talent, and there was a lot of records broken in that game. It's the first time in the history any team that's 3 days to decide a final at States. Right? And
I was there
for
probably 2 days.
2 days, yeah. No, it's the last day.
I was there for 2 days. I missed the last one. Yeah. I'm part of it. And I video tape part of it from the start.
The morning after the last day, maybe about 1 o'clock, and they were not chasing a lot of runs. There was 63. But we blundered, we blundered because we missed run out. When we were going back onto the field for the morning session, I don't like to interfere with coaches, but I've informed my coach that don't start with the 2 pace. We have Lewis, who was bowling half break well, getting bounce and turn. He was hitting wickets. And he was very economical. So I suggest let's start with Lewis at one end and one of the pace at the other end. But it's just cricket, sometimes it's just let it go. Would love to win, but one of them things. Similar thing this year at Manchester High. So May Day is going to the finals for the second time. That's another history, straight, right? 2 years straight, school going to the finals.
All right.
Just
and another thing, May Day wasn't one of those school names that you heard of, because it was either States, Wormwood, Manchester High, Monroe, within that little St. Elizabeth,
Yeah.
Manchester region. Never yet you hear the school May Day. And I know that it have been a big surprise for a lot of people when they see the quality of the player. Not that, the fact that they make it to the finals,
Final.
but the quality and a one-to-one you could match each of those players with the best player in the island. You
Yeah.
know,
So that's
I
why I
watched
go
the
back to
Ricky.
tell you that Oral Simpson, the May Day coach, is one of the best youth coach in the country. And his service is not being used by our national body. Don't make no sense.
Well, as I say, I'm happy for what you're doing, and I want to also, while we're here, apologize to the viewers because we're expecting Michael Clark and Chadwick Hewitt to be on the program. We're having a little difficulty at the beginning of it, but the tournament is a little way out, and we're gonna be bringing in these guys, who are very talented players who have a lot to offer to the youngsters. We'll bring them on, on a one-to-one, probably give them 15 to half an hour, just to hear their side, what they're looking for from these cricketing bodies in terms of youngsters and going forward in terms with a future in cricket. And it's always good to hear from them what they're looking for, the support that they need, and the challenges that they face, and how we can help them. So we're gonna be bringing on these guys. But as we approach the hour mark here, Mr. Deloy, Bent, I would just want you to just give a quick recap of what's gonna be happening at this event and what is the hopes for the tournament, and the location, and if you're looking sponsors, or there's any sponsors on board, and how can we help as a general public. Some of us love cricket and we're right here in Florida where it's gonna happen. For USA and a whole, you're also helping to build US cricket, which is giving them a stronger competition in terms of, and also exposing them to quality players. So just give us a quick roundup, of the whole tournament and your intention.
First, I want to ask the past students of Excelsior and May Day to try as much as possible to assist the team, the school, so that they can have a smooth tournament, right? Whatever they can contribute, they need to, and help the schools, right? The tournament starts November 27th, that's Thanksgiving Day, at Hamilton Park, Town and Country. The opening match will be between Excelsior and May Day High. So if you live in Orlando, you live in Tampa, even from Fort Lauderdale, plan a day or drive out and support the team. Right? So it will conclude on December 1st. And I am hoping for a good turnout each day from community members to come out and support the team. The teams, in terms of sponsorship, that is needed. And one of the things I'll say to the Jamaican producers, your product can be displayed at these fields so that the Jamaican community can taste and buy. So the opportunity for sponsorship is very open, and we welcome any and all sponsor who want to support the tournament. And I thank you very much for having me, and I hope we can continue promoting cricket in the US and in Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bent. And really, we're looking forward to a successful tournament. And I personally will give you as much support as I can, and I will rally behind these youngsters and whatever we can do for them, we'll do it. And really, I'm just thankful again for you and your team for providing such an opportunity for these youngsters. You see the challenges that lies ahead of us. You see those that behind us. And, with that, I think you are a very good spokesman for the future of cricket. And, I just ask that you continue to be the person you are, because I realize that you're not afraid to challenge any of these members of the organization. You're a man of
That's
integrity. And it is good that, somebody can stand up for cricket. So really
Thank you very
appreciate it.
much.
You have
Yeah, man.
yourself a blessed day and a blessed tournament.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Finish.
All the best. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, man. Bye.